It's quite possible that you are already working with a web service that is already connected to your autoresponder, or if you use Aweber, it's already connected. Now, in many cases, those integrations are direct. Affiliate networks, social media platforms, shopping carts, all of them have direct application and integrations with Aweber. However, in some cases, the integration is not as direct. And when that is the case, you'll see something like what we're about to showcase right now. For example, if we want to integrate GoToWebinar with Aweber, we would click this link. And we would find that this integration actually happens through a third-party company called Zapier. So to start this process with GoToWebinar in Aweber, just as we would do with any other app that uses Zapier, we click the Enable button. This will actually take us to the third-party site Zapier. Now, Zapier has both a free and paid account, and you'll have to determine how much you'll be using based on the pricing. But you'll be able to see the potential integrations with GoToWebinar as well as Aweber. For example, you can add GoToWebinar registrants to an Aweber mailing list. So in other words, someone signs up for your webinar, they get automatically added to your Aweber list. Someone signs up to your Aweber list, they get automatically added to your GoToWebinar. So you'll have to choose the integration that you actually want, and then you'll need to get started with Zapier. And in this particular case, Zapier says you'll need a GoToWebinar account active and an Aweber account. That's going to be the case with any integration you do. You're going to need access to the services that you're going to want to integrate. In this case, we're working with GoToWebinar and Aweber. We're going to click Create this Zap. Now, GoToWebinar and Aweber require a premium trigger. So at some point in your process, you are going to have to pay Zapier in order to have this trigger happen. But we're going to click Continue. Now Zapier is going to require that we log in to GoToWebinar. Now we'll come back to Zapier once we've logged in, and we're going to click Continue. Now you're going to have access to the account that you are now logged into, or you can connect a different GoToWebinar account. You want to click the Test button to make sure that your account is actually working with Zapier. So go ahead and click the Test button. You want to make sure that you have the green Success button, and then you'll click Save and Continue. You'll then select a webinar and then click Continue. You'll then want to click Fetch and Continue. Once you click your test and you'll see that it's successful, you can then click Continue. So the Aweber action is going to be to create a subscriber. We're going to click Continue. We're going to test or connect an Aweber account and then click Save and Continue. So we've chosen our account, we've now chosen the list, and now what we want to do is to click Continue. So we want to test the system through Zapier, so we'll click Create and Continue. We've actually already added this email to the list, so we'll skip the rest of the test and then click Continue. And because this is a premium service, Zapier is going to look for a payment at this point. You can pay monthly, or you can pay annually, or choose to upgrade your account in order to continue with the integration. Now, this integration is premium through Zapier. In some cases, your integration will be direct. If you must have the integration, then Zapier will be the easiest way to have that integration done. And if not, and you want to just do it manually, you can do it that way. Okay, so with that, thanks, and I will see you in another video. Welcome back. We're now going to go to the Messages tab, and we're going to go to the first tab, which is called Drafts. When we go to the Drafts tab, what you're going to notice is that you have a page where you can create a message and you can create a draft. Now, this screen will have all of the emails that you create inside of Aweber that have not been saved, added to broadcast, or added to follow-ups. So because Aweber auto-saves your email, you will be able to keep track of all of the emails that you are writing, and you'll be able to have them in this area. Now, in order to get started writing an email, what you're going to do inside of the draft button is you're going to click create a message. Now you have three choices. You can either click the drag and drop email builder, which is what you will use in most cases because this will send the most attractive emails. You can send an email by plain text if you have a specific reason as to wanting to send plain text emails to a certain list. Or you can also use the HTML editor if you know HTML extremely well. Now, because most entrepreneurs will be using the drag and drop editor, we're going to actually start with this builder. So let's click this link. Now, there are several elements that you want to be familiar with inside of the draft screen. The first you want to be familiar with is going to be the template box. We can actually use some of the pre-formatted templates that Aweber gives us in order to send out our email. Now, of course, we can change any of these templates to be what we want them to be if they suit our message. Now, if you want to write a plain message to your email marketing list, all you'll need to do is to click this plain tab. And indeed, this is the default setting. So you don't really even have to choose this template. You will actually have this template inside of your message writer by default. Now, if you want to use a different format, you can do that. You can use a center aligned format, or you can continue to use the left aligned format. Now, in order to get back to the writing screen, what we're going to do is we're going to click inside of this box, and that's going to bring us back to the Aweber screen. Now what we're going to do is we're going to take a look at all of the elements that we can actually add inside of our Aweber email. So we're going to start by writing a message, and we're going to edit it as we go along. So we have our content, and what we're going to do is we're going to put our cursor inside of the body, and we're going to cut and paste our text. Now that we have our text inside of our email, we can actually start editing this email so that it actually looks the way we want it to be. Now, one of the things that we're going to need to do is we're going to need to take out some of the titles. So now that we have our content inside of our email, let's take a look at some of the things that we can do. Now, we can always change the appearance of the text and make it larger for our client. And all we would need to do is to highlight the text, then change the size. We can make the size anything that we actually want within this box. So now that we have the text at the size that we actually want it, what we're going to do is we're going to personalize the email. Now, one of the things that you'll notice at the very beginning is that this email is going to be personalized. And it's being personalized with a common personalization code, which is first name fix. That means that Aweber will look at the code and it will try to determine the first name based on what's in the box. And this is actually a better code than just first name. It will look at all the available information and try to put the best fit for the first name. So in most cases, you will continue to use first name fix. However, you could use a different personalization code. And if that is the case, then what you do is you go to the personalize field, you pull the drop down menu and you choose one. For example, you could use the full name, or you could even use the last name. So whatever personalizes the email for your market and your niche, that is what you want to use in the personalization area. We're going to go ahead and take this information out. And one of the things you'll notice at the bottom here is that Aweber is auto-saving our email. But we do want to make sure that we put a title in here so that we'll know what we've actually worked on when we look in the draft area. Now, what we can do as we go along is we can actually preview and test the email to find out what our clients are actually going to see. Now, one other thing that we're going to do in this video is we're going to take a look at the background color of our email. Now, naturally, we have a white background because that is the default setting. However, you can change the background color. We can click that link and we can make that background color whatever we want. If we wanted it to be a little more gray, we could click apply. It's a very easy way of adding some kind of branding to what we're actually writing. We can actually go back to this background color and then click apply. And every time we go along, what we're going to do is we're going to click preview and test so that we can actually get a sense for how this email is going to look when it appears in the inbox of our client. Now what we're going to do is we're going to go back. We're going to continue to work on this email, and we're now going to click save. When we click save, you'll notice that the auto save number goes up by 1. And now we can continue adding things to this email. And we will do that when we come back in the next video. Okay, so with that, thanks, and I will see you in that next video. Welcome back. We're now going to pick it up inside of the writing screen, and inside of the text editor, you have all of the same editing features that you would have in any other word processing document. So, for example, once we place the cursor inside of here, what you'll see is that you have a toolbar that is enabled to you. So that means that you can take any of these words and you can make them bold. And by clicking the B, you can take the bold off. You can do the same thing for italics, and clicking again and turning the italics off, underline, and strike through. You can also change the actual color of a particular text by clicking apply, and then when you take the highlighter off, you'll see it. You can change it back to black. You can actually highlight a background. So, for example, we could take this text and we can actually put a yellow background there. And you'll see that there is a background. We can take that background right back off and click apply. So you have all of the same text features that you would have inside of any word processing document. You can also bullet point, and you can take the bullet point off. Now you'll notice that didn't go back exactly the way you wanted it to, so you may have to do some editing. So you want to make sure that you can work with all of the features inside of your word processing to make your document look the way you want. And again, remember that all you'll need to do is to click the preview and test button to take a look at how it's actually going to appear to your client. Now, Aweber will allow you some drag and drop features inside of your newsletter. So what you could do is you can use any of the features that you see on the left-hand side menu by dragging and dropping. So, for example, we can drag and drop a headline in here. And we can write that headline in. And we can take that box right back out. Now, one thing that you may be doing is you may be adding an image, and you can actually do that by writing in and dragging and dropping the image inside of the editor. And you can take the editor back out. You can drag and drop a video into your box. And what you'll notice when you actually set up the settings for this video, we do that by clicking inside of the video. We can actually put a video URL inside of here, and we can actually have the thumbnail to appear. So let's do that right now. We can write in the title, and then we can even determine the destination URL for the video. If we decide we don't want it, we can take it right back out. We can add in a button or a button code. And of course, if we click on top of the button, then we can actually send people based on them clicking that button to the page that we want them to go. and we can take that button right back out. We can add in our social media contact, Facebook and Twitter. And by clicking on Facebook and or Twitter, we can actually customize where we want those links to go. We can add in a product link, and this is much the same as a buy button. So we can actually edit the image. We can add an image, and then we can have it linked. We can have our button, which will send people to a page. So we have total customization over this particular product image. We can add in a coupon. And of course, we can actually write in what we want to see inside of that coupon and take it back out. And then we can add in our logo. Again, with all of these images, we can actually size these down to what we want them to be. We can click inside and adjust them from there. Of course, we can add in our signature. In this case, we would add that here at the bottom. And we can even add in a divider. Lastly, we can add in share buttons. We can do that, put that at the bottom of our email. And this will give people the opportunity to share the content on their social media. Finally, if you do something and you don't like the way it looks, you can always go and do the undo button or use the redo button, which will take you back one step to where you actually started, and then you can have the text where you were. And of course, Aweber is auto-saving your information as you go. You can always go back to a previous version at a particular time. But the best way to do that, if you can, is to use the undo and or redo buttons. Okay, so with that, thanks, and I will see you in another video. Welcome back. When you have completed your drafts, one of the things that you can do is you can actually place that draft inside of your follow-up series. And these are actually your autoresponder emails. So in this particular case, what we're going to do is we're going to start this video by clicking the Add to Follow-up series. Aweber is going to give us a message and let us know that this is going to be the first follow-up message. So in other words, when a subscriber signs up for this list, they're going to confirm their email address, and this email is going to be the first one they're going to receive. We're going to go ahead and click the Add to Follow-up series. Now, Aweber is actually going to place you inside of the follow-up area. And you'll notice then that you can now place your messages in order according to how your customer is going to actually see them. And these messages are going to be sent automatically. Now, each of the autoresponder messages are going to have settings. So, for example, let's say that we create a second and third message. And we're going to do that quickly, and then we're going to take a look at how we customize the settings. Now, we have gone to the draft section to draft both of our emails. And what we're going to do is we're actually going to move these to the follow-up area. So we're going to click Add to Follow-up Series. And what you're going to notice is with this email, follow-up number 2 comes one day after the previous one. We can actually customize this number. We can set it to 2, we can set it to 3, we can set it to wherever we want it to be. We can also have it to appear at a different time. So for example, we can have it to appear on a certain day if we need to. Or we can have it appear at a certain time. We can actually customize when this email is going to appear to all of our clients. We can actually send this email according to each subscriber's local time if we click this link. And then we can actually make it so that all of the days and times will apply to all of the messages in the list. Now, we're not going to do that in this particular case. We're just going to add this to the follow-up series. Now we have two messages in our follow-up. The second one actually comes one day after the first, and it starts at 9 a.m. We can now go back to the draft area, and then we can set the message for the third message. We can add that to the follow-up series, and we can make it so that this message actually comes 3 days after message number 2. We can then click Add to Follow-up Series. And now what we basically have is we have a campaign that we are determining whether or not the campaign actually works. Now, once we have determined that this campaign is actually effective, one of the things that we can do is we can actually share this campaign. And we can do that by going to this campaign sharing link, and we can choose to share our follow-ups, we can choose to share our broadcasts, or we can choose to share our follow-ups and our broadcasts. Now in this particular case, we are going to choose to share our follow-ups. So we're going to click Save, and when we do that, you'll notice that Aweber is going to give us a campaign code. That campaign code is now going to disappear, but that campaign code now appears in this area. What this means now is that we can actually share this campaign code with someone else who wants to use the same messages in their business. And they would do that by coming to their Aweber account and loading that campaign code in this space that says use a predefined campaign code. So the messages that we are creating right now are technically called autoresponders. They actually arrive into the email box of our client automatically when they sign up for our email marketing list. Now, these are different from broadcast emails. And one of the things that you will have to determine is whether or not you'd like to write your emails and send them out as broadcasts, or whether or not you'd like to have them go automatically to your customers and your clients. So what we're going to look at next is we're going to look at broadcast emails. Okay, so with that, thanks, and I will see you in another video.